Hello and welcome to the TapD demo series. I'm Hannah with Lightning Labs, and this is a series of short demo videos walking through using the Taproot Assets daemon, TapD. We go all the way from installation to minting assets to potentially burning those assets and transferring them to the whole lot. In this video, we're going to walk through playing with TapD via Polar. So if you're not familiar with Polar, this is an application for one-click Bitcoin Lightning networks for local app development and testing. So a great, really fast way to get up and running just playing with these TapD nodes. So it is available for Mac, Windows, and for Linux. You can just download it as an app image and run it. Keep in mind that you do need to have Docker on your machine to use it. And sometimes, especially, if you're on a Linux machine like I am, sometimes you might hit like a permissions issue. You might just have to set your permissions so that it will work with Docker appropriately. If you run into any trouble there, just go scan old issues. There's a number of hints on how to fix any permissions issues that you may run into there. So once you download it, that's an app image. You have to make sure you have the appropriate permissions set so that you can execute that. And then you just open it up and boom, there we go. First thing we'll do is create a Lightning network. Let's name this TapD demo. I'm going to have just 2 LND nodes. Keep in mind that TapD does need to work with LND. And so we're going to go very simple setup here, just have an Alice node and a Bob node. We can add other Lightning implementations to our network, but here that's not necessary, so we won't do that. And then, of course, we need at least one Bitcoin Core backend, because again, we're just simulating. This is, all the same software that you would run on testnet or mainnet. We're just running it all locally. So we still need a Bitcoin backend. We still need to mine blocks, the whole lot. So here we are. There's this great drag and drop functionality here, which makes it a lot of fun to play with. So we can see we've got an Alice LND node, a Bob LND node, and our Bitcoin backend. And now we're just going to drag and drop these Taproot Assets nodes right here. So there we go. That's Alice's TapD node. And that is Bob's TapD node. And that's all we need for this setup. So we're going to go ahead and start. I've done this on my machine before, so it'll start up really quickly. There we go. We're up and running. If it's the first time you're doing it on your machine, it might take a couple of minutes just to download the appropriate Docker images. So we're going to do a couple of things here. First, we're going to turn auto mine on. That just makes things a bit simpler, so you don't have to remember like, oh, what's going wrong? Oh, right, I have to go mine some blocks over here. Right, we just turn auto mine on, so that'll fix those issues. Let's just have a look at what we can do. We'll click on our Bitcoin backend and we can see all kinds of information. We could see how we could connect to this node if we wanted to, various different actions that we can do on here. Let's look at Alice's LND node. Again, we get all kinds of information about what versions we're running, all sorts of information on how to connect to it. This is connecting information to connect to LND. And then we're going to do, we have some actions here. And one thing we need to do is fund our node. Because if you're going to be minting assets on chain, you have to have some Satoshis to do that, right? So let's go ahead and fund Alice's node. There we go. Look at our block height changed as we did that. Then let's go ahead and fund Bob's node. Cool, a little bit of a change there as well. And this is just our basic setup stuff, but pretty much like as far as just installing, Polar and, getting a network set up, like this is it, we're done. Like it's that quick and easy. But I will show you a couple of examples just for fun here. So let's first look at these nodes. This is Alice's TapD node. Again, you can get all kinds of information, the version we're running. We're going to use all of this in just a second and all kinds of actions you can do. But also, let me show you this. If you go right click on this, we can launch the terminal and we can play with the CLI here. So we see we have this nice alias set up for us, make things nice and easy. We're going to go tap CLI assets list. And unsurprisingly, Alice currently has 0 Taproot assets, right? But we can fix that when we go and play with the APIs. So we have REST and gRPC APIs available, and I'll just show you a quick example on how to, just some examples on how we can connect to one of these nodes and use some basic API calls and have a little bit of fun here. So first we need the connection info. gRPC is available. We're just using REST here in this example. You can just push that button right there to copy it all to the clipboard. For this example, to connect to these nodes, I'm going to use the REST endpoint, and I'll need the TLS cert and the macaroon. So let me show you here. I have some Python scripts set up. And if you want to follow along with what I'm doing here, I have this repo where I just have these scripts that you can use to try this out on your own machine, have a little fun, just play with these scripts, which is Python talking to the REST API. But of course, I'm largely just pulling this out of the API docs. So here, up here at lightning.engineering/API-docs/API/taproot-assets. Here's where you can find all kinds of, all the info on all the API calls. Again, gRPC and REST are available. Also, you can use just the CLI if you'd like. And we have examples in both JavaScript and Python, but of course you can use whatever programming language you'd like, as long as you can make some gRPC or REST API calls. So we'll just do, I'll show you how I'm connecting. This is just a quick and easy way to connect. I've just taken that information directly out of Polar and just pasted it right in here. Note that I'm not using the HTTP right here, just the IP address and the port. And then I've just got the path to the macaroon file and the TLS cert on my machine. And so right now we're going to connect to Alice's node. So we'll go run some very, very basic just scripts, Python scripts, to talk to Alice's tapd node via the REST API. Here, this is just list. We're just going to say, hey, Alice's tapd node, what kind of assets you got at the moment? And it's going to return a response from us, say, hey, no assets. So we'll do one more fun example here. We're going to go and say, hey, Alice's tapd node, here's all our information to talk to it. Here's the endpoint that we're going to connect to. Say, hey, we want to mint some assets. I'd like to make 100,000 Alice coins. All right. So we can run this. Note that it gives us a pending batch. So it's prepped all this data to be, confirmed or to be, embedded in the Bitcoin blockchain. So what we can do then is we need to finalize batch, right? We created all this data. Now we're going to go put it on the blockchain. So we run this script here, again, talking to Alice's node, hitting this mint finalize endpoint. We'll run that. Boom. There we go, Alice coin. So let's go back over to Polar. We'll mine some blocks here to make sure that our tapd node knows that those transactions, or the transaction that minted those assets, is confirmed. And we'll go back to info, and ta-da, we can see all the data on our Alice coin. So you can see with Polar, very, very quick and easy to set this up and start playing with the tapd APIs. Again, if you run into any trouble here, go over to the Polar repo, check out the issues. You can, of course, always go back to docs.lightning.engineering or go and hang out with us on the Slack channel. See you next time.